Today I thought it would be a cool idea to rank the 6 Heart of Fire champs that were finally announced yesterday on the Kabam livestream. And I'm going to be ranking them in 2 different ways. First is 1 through 6 on what I want for my account, and then after 1 through 6 for how strong I think they are as attackers for everyone else's account. So if I'm just going to start with my account personally, it's going to be a little bit different than the general list I'm going to give for everyone at the end quickly, because there are specific champs that I'm targeting in this pool that you might not be targeting in this pool when I'm going to be dropping my units on the event. Because there are a couple characters that I'm actually going to die for trying to get, and then there are going to be a couple characters that people might want that I just don't. And I think it's important to make 2 lists, one with my bias involved and one where I am just giving you an objective list that I think is best for you. So, starting with last place, once I find that champion, because technically she's not even going to be on the website yet, but we're going to use this version, and that is Dark Phoenix. Why is she last place? So this is going to be probably pretty obvious. It's the fact that you can only get her as the final milestone of the event, which I will not be able to reach. And if I can't reach it, then I think that barely anyone will be able to do that. Because I'm a content creator, I will be able to get funds from YouTube to help me with this event, but even that is way too little to be able to get me to what I need to have to get to Dark Phoenix without using a bunch of my own money, which I've already put into spring cleaning. So I'm not going to be putting my own money into an event literally a month afterwards, even though I would kill to play Dark Phoenix. I really want to get the character, but because of the fact that she is in a paywall that is that far away, that makes me so unbelievably unexcited for her, because I know I won't be able to reach it, right? Realistically, I just glance at her kit, it seems very defender focused. I love defender kits. I love ranking defenders and then finding cool ways to use them on attack that people might not expect. Specifically with Zola, Enchantress, Bullseye. Those are 3 pure defenders that I really like using on attack, if I can help it. And I think Dark Phoenix would be the same way. Again, her kit, they have the spotlight out, and I glanced over it. So it's kind of hard to rank her, especially when I haven't been able to play her yet, and probably won't be able to play her for a very, very long time. But yeah, in every way possible, she's last place for me because of the way she's being treated with this event. And I'm a person who usually defends Kabam when it comes to monetary gains. I made so many points in the Serpent video that I did that Serpent is not just for monetization. Okay, Dark Phoenix isn't 100% just for monetization, and it sucks. I genuinely hate that. So while I'll defend Serpent for that issue, I will not defend Dark Phoenix for that issue. Anyway, we move on to number 5, and I'm sorry that was mainly just a rant for Dark Phoenix, but I think the entire player base is pissed off with how she's being handled. So, alright, moving on to number 5. This is something that, if you know my channel from a really, really long time ago, you might understand this. If you're newer to my channel, you're probably wondering, why is APOC at last? Because I'm an APOC hater. I've always been an APOC hater. And to be honest, I don't hate him anymore. I hated him back in the day because of how overrated I thought he was. I never understood why people were so in love with this champion. And I still don't understand why people are so in love with this champion other than the Horseman pre-fight. That's the only part of APOC's kit that I really want to use. And using him as a pre-fight champ is just okay, I like Mr. Fantastic because of his pre-fights. I don't like playing Mr. Fantastic, but I like Mr. Fantastic for his pre-fights in a war setting. And it's just that the Horseman pre-fight's all I'm going to use APOC for, personally. He's got cool immunities, he really does. He has a cool kit in general, he really does, but I feel it's kind of outdated. And I don't think he's buff worthy. I still think he's strong enough to where hey, this champion should not get a buff. He really shouldn't get a buff. He's a very strong character in his own right. For what I would personally be using a mutant champion for, APOC doesn't fit that. He's not good for any of the meta skill defenders outside of maybe Korg. I mean, you can use him for Killmonger, but he's not really countering Killmonger in any way. He's bad for Atuma, he's bad for Bullseye, he's bad for Zemo, and Zemo's not even a 7-star champion, but he's not very good for Zemo. So it's just like, I wouldn't use him, but if we go to like my list without my bias in it, he's going to be a little higher, because I do think that most of the player base actually wants to use APOC. So moving on to my number 4, also at the top here, it is Immortal Abomination, and yes, I would play this guy a lot more than APOC. I do think that he is a stronger character than he's given credit for, especially with the inequity fix that he's getting. I do think he's going to have some interesting war uses. He is one of the tankiest champs in the game, and you might not even realize that. He gains a lot of physical resist, he places a lot of inequity on the opponent, and places personal weaknesses as well. So he has a lot of strength for war because of his tankiness. He is immune to poison, obviously, but he gets physical resistance from the poisons on himself, I believe, which is also going to allow him to maybe be good for the Hazard Shift Poison Rupture. And yeah, it's right here. Each poison on Abomination gives him physical resistance. I'm also interested in him for some placements on Node 49. When they're not placing a poison immune, he's going to be pretty good. He's a sneaky defender in Battlegrounds, and even attacker. Like, he won't be terrible as an attacker in BGs. I don't think he'll be the best thing in the science class, but he might be worthy of being ran in a deck. So, while this list with my bias in it is considering attack and defense, the general list will be only considering attack, which we will get to later in the video, and I'll explain a bit why there. But I do think IBOM would be pretty cool for my account. I would rank 3 him, and every champion after IBOM I would rank 3. So, speaking of 3, the number 3 pick for me is actually going to be Nick Fury. So Nick Fury, I don't think I'm the type of person who would be playing Nick on attack. What makes him so high on this list is because his value as a BG's defender is insurmountable. No one else does what Nick does. No one has literally 2 lives, and when they're switching those 2 lives, you purify every debuff and passive from you. That's something that only Nick can do, and it's so incredibly valuable. And it's something that he's like almost an irreplaceable champ. Like, you will look at content, you'll look at like BG stuff, and be like, hey, I don't have Titania, how can I replace her? There are a lot of science champs that you can use instead of Titania. Nick, there's no BG's defender that does what Nick does. The closest is iHulk, and it's not even close. So while Nick has like fallen off on BG's defense as a 6-star, and I say fallen off, which is like crazy because he's still run in a lot of metas, the 7-star version is going to completely be a renaissance for him. Not only just at the rank 3 level, but you know there will be hundreds of rank 4 Nick Furies when he drops as a 7-star. I won't be one of them. I don't like Nick enough to rank 4 him, especially since I won't be playing him on attack pretty much ever, because he's just not my kind of champion. They're going to be everywhere, and it's going to be very important that you have very strong Nick counters in your BG's deck going forward. Champs like Danny Moonstar, Deadpool X-Force, which I actually picked from the Glorious Guardian selector from Spring Cleaning because of Nick coming out. Otherwise I would have gone Sentinel, but because of Nick I picked Deadpool. So, anyway, I do think he's going to be incredibly strong for my account. And at that point, I'm going to move on to number 2. And there's only 2 champs left. It's either Future Ant-Man or Tigra. This is another one you might know what I'm going to pick, so we're just going to say it right now. I'm going to put my number 2 as Future Ant-Man. I love Future Ant-Man. I absolutely love this guy. It's going to be a little bit annoying to have him unduped for a while, which I also should have mentioned for the Nick part. I can't awaken him unless I get an awakening gem specifically for the event or a skill 1 down the road. So having an unduped Nick isn't really going to do much for me, but having an unduped Fant, however, is still going to be extremely strong. And I do want him awakened. Like, he would be one of the key targets for a Tech Awakening Gem or this Fire and Flames Awakening Gem if I got one. Because his sig ability is insane, especially for Alliance War, which is a lot of where my stuff is coming from. Because that incoming bleed and incinerate effects suffer 90% reduced duration is kind of nuts. It just makes him a lot better for a lot of matchups in war, whereas otherwise he would not have any immunities to any damage over time effects. So those are just a few that he is going to be immune to, and in war, like, your viability often sometimes feels like it's related to hazard shift. And I feel like that is kind of what's going to open him up to that. But even then, like, he's so strong in war without having that. Like, he's going to destroy dust on almost every node. He's going to be good for onslaughts on some nodes. He'll be good for Mr. Sinister on some nodes. There's very few mutant champs he's actually bad for, which is always great. If you're a champion who can almost hard counter your class advantage class, then you're going to have a good time. Part of why I praise Silver Sable a lot, because she just completely destroys the science class. And I think Fantman is partially the same when it comes to fighting the mutant class. So his power control is completely ridiculous. We all know that. You can just go the entire fight without the opponent throwing a special. I've often used the phrase that Future Man is as good a champion can get without being overpowered or overtuned. I still stand by that. I do think he is as strong as you can be without being game breaking. And maybe he even is game breaking at that, because his power control is so friggin' good. But at the same time, like, I love him, I want him, and I will be playing the hell out of him if I can get him. But the only champion I'll be playing more the hell out of is Tigra, once I can find her. She's right here. Dude, I started playing my 6-star Tigra again a couple BG's metas ago, and I was like, I missed this. I truly missed this. Because she is a champion that I can connect with so much, and a champion that I can use for so much crap. And I just love the ability to run over defenders with Tigra, and almost like, it doesn't even matter what the defender's kit is if they die in 30 seconds, right? And that's just what Tigra can do for so many defenders. Onslaught, Enchantress, Serpent. Obviously not necessarily 30 seconds for Serpent, but you get the idea. I will 100% have a rank 4 Tigra on day 1 if I can actually get her, because I do have a Mystic Awakening gem for her, and she will still be low sig once I actually pull her. But she'll be getting every single generic I possibly can give her until she's sig 200. So that'll be something I'll be looking forward to. But Tigra is just the queen of BGs in the Mystic class. The only champion who could possibly surmount her is Juggernaut, and I ban Juggernaut pretty much every match because I hate the guy. Tigra is just so fun learning how every matchup needs to work intricately. I understand why you might not like that kind of thing, which is why she's not going to be number 1 on my unbiased list. But yeah, Tigra, you'll search Grass MCoC Tigra, you'll see the hundreds, not hundreds, that's unrealistic, but the many, many, many videos I have of my 6-star Tigra carrying me through so much content. She was my first ever Ascended 6-star, and she'll be my first Mystic rank 4 if I can get her from this event. So, now we're going to move on to the portion where I'm going to rank them by overall attacker strength. The reason I'm saying attacker strength is because I don't include defense when evaluating champions, because if you include attack and defense together, it becomes a Battlegrounds tier list. And I don't want this to be a Battlegrounds tier list. I want this to be a general how they're going to attack throughout the entire game kind of list. So this is just going to be pretty brief. I'm not even going to focus a lot on the champs, but I'm not evaluating Dark Phoenix as well because she's not even playable at the moment. So this is just 1 through 5. Dark Phoenix is not going to be on this list. I don't have any great speculation as to where she would fall anyway. So 1 through 5, 5th best being iBomb. iBomb is incredibly strong for the reasons I mentioned earlier, but I do think he's going to be the weakest of the 5, and I do think a lot of players are going to agree with me in that. Next is APOC, which might be a hot take. I still think APOC is overrated on attack. And I know a lot of players are going to disagree with me on that one, though. But, I mean, I wouldn't use APOC over a lot of the modern mutants. I wouldn't advise you to use APOC over a lot of the modern mutants. So if I'm trying to keep my bias aside, I still don't think he's as strong as a lot of the, again, modern mutants. I would suggest you rank a lot of champs over him. So, he's still incredibly strong. Horseman pre-fight's insane, but that's where I think he lands. Number 3 on the general attack list is going to be Nick Fury. Nick isn't as great an attacker as he is a defender. However, he still has that luxury of being the only champ in the entire game with a second life, which is crucial for war. There used to be a saying where it was like, if you need a generic skill champ, always pick Nick Fury for that kind of war setting, just because of the whole 2 lives thing. And that saying's going to come back. Like, once that people have a bunch of rank 3 Nick Furies and stuff, Nick Fury is just going to be the generic skill champ to send to Alliance War attack when you need a generic skill champ, because the safety he has is insurmountable. So, anyway, number 2 is going to be Tigra. This placement will wax and wane depending on how comfortable you are with playing her, but I encourage everyone to actually try using Tigra. If you don't like her, if she's not your cup of tea, that's fine, but at least you tried, right? Because if you try and you love her, it's going to be an account-changing pull for you. If you try and you don't like her, that's fine. At least you tried to understand the champ, and you can play the game perfectly fine without ever using Tigra. 100%. You can use so many other mystics, so many other champions in the game that also will do what Tigra does. It's just, once you understand Tigra, once you can use her for so many different matchups, it's going to feel worth it. And if that's not you, that's fine. You don't have to be a Tigra player. So yeah, I mean, this placement could go lower, this placement could go to number 1. I figured number 2 is the safest, because I do think that even a weaker Tigra player is going to be better than a Nick player. Because I still think Nick is like crazy for attack, but I've never valued him on attack as much as some other people have. And even putting my bias aside, I still think that, like, if you're just good at playing Tigra and not great, you're still going to have a lot more attacker uses than you will with Nick. And then number 1, of course, like, this one just feels pretty safe and pretty obvious. It's Future Ant-Man. Everyone loves Future Ant-Man. He's so strong. His power control is ridiculous. His damage is super good. He's great for war. He's great for BGs. He's great for endgame content. He's great for every single piece of content in the entire game. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows how strong Fat-Man is, and him getting that 6-star promotion to a 7-star is just going to reignite the flame, pun intended, that everyone used to have for Fat-Man, and some people still have for Fat-Man. Because some people are still playing the 6-star. There's some people are still playing the hell out of that 6-star Fat-Man. I don't necessarily do that as much anymore, but I still send him to war sometimes, even as a 6-star, and I like never send 6-stars to war. It has to be like an extremely specific case. He's so strong, and I know everyone's gonna want him. And I do think he is the strongest attacker pretty much all the time out of these 5, parentheses 6. So, anyway, that's my list, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good luck on your Fire and Flames crystals. The event drops 4 days from when this thing is being uploaded. So I hope you all enjoy it, and I will see you in the next one.